welcome to Modern Art Blitz. I'm your host, Matt Gleason. My co-host, Lisa Derrick, could not be with us today. Don't worry, she's not ill. She was actually curating an art show, which she does professionally, and sometimes our professional activities get in the way of the great Modern Art Blitz live Sunday streaming. We do this every Sunday live at 5 on dronebox.com. You can stream us straight into your house via your computer and your internet connection. We also archive the show in perpetuity, or until nuclear war, on youtube.com, a very popular website. Have your kids tell you about it if you don't know what I'm talking about. Today's show, we've got a great show today. We've got two great guests that are formidable presences in the art world. Presences. In the sketcher's seat today, we have our intern, Aliza. She will be sketching our guests. Aliza, are you ready? Whoa. The confidence is just oozing over. Well, the confidence is going to be oozing from this side. Later in the show, we're going to have the great Robbie Conal as our guest. But our first guest is a superior painter, a creative force to be reckoned with. She's exhibited locally. She's an international sensation. Lili Bernard. Welcome.
Hey, Matt. So good to see you. Aliza.
All right. You're one of my favorite painters.
Oh.
And you work in a grand scale. And you just, when somebody sees one of your paintings, it's almost a consumptive activity. We're consumed. And the images, at times, they seem very complex. And yet, you know, there's something going on there. It's usually pretty intense. Help! So, what exactly inspires you most relative to making these large-scale paintings?
What inspires me most? I have to say my children.
Your children?
By far.
Are they that much of a terror? I mean, I know your kids are, but wow.
Well, you know,
wait, I understand. When you say they inspire you, you want to get away from the kids, so you make the big scale. If you're making small paintings, then you'd have to go home. But to get away from them, you can make, okay.
Yeah, but I actually involve them in the process.
You
So,
do?
yeah, I do. Some of them are my models. So I actually have them pose for some of the images.
The more demonic, the more childlike, right?
They pose. I pose myself too, and then I'll take a selfie and use that selfie from which to sketch and then paint. But
Wow. And you're primarily an oil painter, correct?
yes, oil painting. That's all I paint with is oil.
All you paint with is oil painting.
Oil on canvas.
Take those acrylics back to the art supply store. We don't need you anymore. So let's look at this painting, and if I disappear, we can see the painting.
Okay.
Poof. Oh, hey, it worked. Wow, I feel like Dr. Bombay. Okay, so what are we looking at here?
You are looking at a 2016 work in progress. I'm almost done with it.
Almost done.
Yeah, maybe you have 8 to 16 more hours. And it is one of what I call my antebellum appropriation paintings. Antebellum meaning before the war that freed the slaves. In this case, it would be Cuba, because I was born in Cuba. And this painting is inspired by Artemisia Gentileschi's Judith slaying Holofernes. How do you pronounce that? Holofernes?
You know, I know how to write the stuff. I wouldn't know how to answer it on Jeopardy.
But you're an art historian, so your guess is
I'm an
better
art historian. No. I don't believe in Santa Claus. I don't believe in art history.
Your guess is better than mine. But it's inspired from her painting, but I took it a step farther, and I actually, of course, I flipped the story. I flipped the story to tell a slave narrative, and then I expanded upon it. So there are subjects and characters that don't appear anywhere in her painting. But it is the moment that I imagine that Carlota, who is a real live slave rebellion leader in Cuba, she was a Yoruba woman, I imagine that the moment that she began the slave rebellion. So she had a very famous slave rebellion in the 1800s, and so I imagine that is what happened.
Let me ask you, and these are fascinating paintings, and do they make people uncomfortable?
They do. They make
Is that on purpose?
I don't know. I just feel, I feel like
I like that they made. I like it's like whoa.
I mean, if you look at the detail, I think we're covering the detail. But if you look at the detail, there's like a threatened castration, and yes, there she is. And Carlota, who really is me in the painting, is threatening to castrate the slaver / rapist long enough. She's threatening to castrate him long enough so that Carlota, her partner, can decapitate him.
Oh, so you threatened the little head.
Yes.
To get after the okay,
That's
yikes. So, but back like now, is the average viewer offended? Are people upset? I mean, what's the average? There's many reactions to your work.
There are a lot of reactions, but I would say that overall, people are very enamored by the paintings. They really are enthralled by them. It's a lot. I get a lot of positive comments, and so there are very few people who are offended, but most people are just really excited.
Do you think a lot of people are offended or upset or a little? It makes them
shocked.
uneasy, but they try to pass it off like, oh, well.
Yeah, I mean, this is what these paintings talk about. It talks about the crime that became institutionalized in 1492, right? We're talking about rape. So these paintings are all talking about rape, and not just exploitation against women of color, but just women in general. So that topic in itself makes people uncomfortable that we're talking about rape
and slavery
yeah.
And so I mean you're piling on just the good messages here. I mean, it's almost a Hallmark card. Now, can you tell us about the one we're looking at? This is giant.
Yeah, that was.
How big is this?
It's
painting?
8 feet across.
It's 8 feet across.
6 feet high.
Wow.
Or 5 feet high, but definitely 8 feet across.
And this is based on a Manet painting.
Absolutely,
correct?
It's based on Manet's Olympia, but I call it Caroline, and it's inspired by the real life story of my great-grandparents. My great-grandfather, William Bernard, was a very rich white Jamaican slave, he wasn't a slaver, he was a stagecoach designer, and my great-grandmother Caroline was his maidservant. And so
what's a maidservant? Is that a slave?
A maidservant, no, but this was actually after slavery. I made it occur during slavery because my parents are very uncomfortable with me telling my family history. They consider to be private, but I consider it to be an important story because when you're a light-skinned black person, rape is part of how we got here. And so I feel like it's everybody's story. So I did make it occur in the slave era, even though my great-grandmother was born slightly after slavery. But she was a very poor maid. They called it a maidservant. She was indigent, and he was very rich, and he had a wife and children. And
it gets better, folks.
Yeah, he had a wife and children, and
it wasn't a soap opera enough.
So he abused his power. We assumed that it was via rape, and through this abuse of power, he impregnated my great-grandmother Caroline, and she bore 3 children, including my grandmother. So
wow,
it's always been understood in our family that it was rape.
Wow. Okay, so in a way, you're portraying someone you're related to who's a bad guy.
Yeah, but if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here.
So there's this weird kind of legacy.
Yeah.
So how long have you been making this series? When did you start this series?
You started it for me.
I did not start this
series.
series.
Yes, you
I
did.
did not start this series.
2011 with
2011? I did not.
Yes, you did.
Okay, we'll get to that. But okay. How long have you been painting?
I've been painting since I was a little girl, since I was a toddler. I knew,
really?
Yeah, since I was a toddler that I would be an artist.
Now, when did you feel you had really become an oil painter though?
An oil painter? Not until maybe 2007.
Oh yeah.
I also was an actor. I would always combine my acting with my painting, with my visual arts. But in 2007 is when I began really painting again, more seriously, because it's hard to go to auditions with 6 kids.
Wow. Okay. I'm back to the kids now. You have 6 kids.
Yes, I gave birth to 6 kids in 10 years' time. So
6 kids in 10 years.
And they know you, yes.
I know your kids.
Yes, they love you.
They're a handful.
They're good kids.
They're easily bribable with soda pop, free soda pop, which we have at the gallery. So that helps out when they come by. Mm-hmm. So 6 kids, and now, is there one that is like you have a favorite?
No.
No?
How many siblings do you have?
Oh, my mom's like, my mom had 7 kids and she hates kids.
No favorites.
Like, there's only 2 of you I would like to hang out with.
No favorites.
I can say that because I'm one of the 2. So
no, there are no favorites.
No?
But I do have a favorite daughter.
You only have one daughter though. Oh wow, that's so fair. So who are we looking at here?
Okay, so this one, I call this Carlota leading the people. And this is after Eugene Delacroix's Liberty leading the people. And whereas with Eugene Delacroix's painting, he had a fictitious woman rebellion leader, this is a reenactment of a real life rebellion leader. Again, the Yoruba enslaved woman in Cuba named Carlota.
Wow.
Wow.
And how big is this painting?
That one is 6 feet across.
6 feet across. Okay, so we've got, you're working on this massive scale. Who has a house big enough to put one of these paintings in?
We have a house big enough. We're blessed, thank God. We have
So you've shown locally with...
Oh gosh, Walter Maciel. I showed these galleries at your gallery, Coaga Curatorial,
okay.
of course. I have a work right now in Avenue 50 Studios.
Avenue 50.
Charlie James Gallery in Chinatown.
You've shown in the group show Charlie James. I saw you in a group show at the Watts Towers,
The Watts Towers Art Center.
What show was that?
That was Baila con Duende, which I curated.
Baila
con Duende, yeah.
Which means dance with...
Spirit.
Spirit.
Yeah.
Duende is spirit.
Yeah.
And what is spirit? How does one define spirit in it? I mean, let's face it, we live in an atheist art world.
Right.
How does one define spirit in an atheist art world?
That's for me, spirit is everything. Who was the famous artist who said that an artist has a spirit in their hand? Who was it who says that?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Somebody said that, but to me, spirit is everything. These paintings are highly codified with Afro-Caribbean religiosity. There's Afro-Cuban iconography all up in it. So
what is some of the iconography here?
So the little boy who in Delacroix's painting next to his Liberty, it was like a small little boy. Was he a drummer boy?
Yes, the drummer, yes.
But that clearly to me became Elegua. So Elegua is the Orisha of...
An Orisha is a Cuban...
A Cuban is an African deity.
An African deity.
From Yoruba land, yeah.
Okay.
So the Yoruba deity. And so that little boy represents Elegua, and Elegua is syncretized in Santeria with the Christ child. He is the Orisha of the crossroads. His colors are black and red. Today I wore red and white for you. Because you are the Chango of the art world.
I am the Chango of the art world.
Yes.
And don't you forget it. What is a Chango?
A Chango is not a monkey.
It's not a monkey.
It's not a monkey. He's an Orisha. He's a warrior Orisha. And he is the Orisha who wields lightning and thunder and a double-edged sword to cut through truth. So he believes in justice. He represents virility, which is...
Oh, hey, that, I'm all up. Oh, boy.
That's an SAT word for sexy. Okay. But he's powerful, and he's truthful, and he's a warrior, and his colors are red and white. And so he's represented in that painting in the gladiola flowers that are red and white, because gladiola, of course, in Latin means sword.
Oh, I did not know that. Wow, gladiolas are swords.
Yes.
Cool.
You said we have Babalu Aye. Babalu Aye is on all fours, and he is syncretized in Santeria with Saint Lazarus.
Okay, who rose from the dead?
Not that Lazarus.
Not that Lazarus.
There's another Lazarus in the Bible.
We have the show on Sunday specifically so that we can catch up with our Bible studies.
Yes.
So
there's another Lazarus in the Bible who was a beggar, and the dogs were constantly licking his wounds. And then when in the afterlife, he was in the bosom of Abraham, and the rich king or whatever in the robe was complaining, why is the mendicant in the bosom of Abraham? And that's in the Bible. You were going to be a priest, right? You know that story.
Okay, now, back to 2011. What painting this is the first in the series, correct?
It is, yes it is. And this is not the birth of Venus. This is inspired by Botticelli's The Birth of Venus, but it is the sale of Venus on the auction block.
Sale of Venus on the auction block.
And there is Chango. He is in the red
wearing
and
the
white.
Red and white crown.
And he's holding Santa Barbara with whom he's syncretized. And he's coming to save poor Venus on the auction block.
And Venus is on the auction block.
Yeah,
she's getting checked out like merchandise there.
She is like merchandise. She's about to give birth. She's in labor. And to her left is Oshun.
Okay.
And that's another Orisha who is syncretized with the Virgin Mary, Blessed Mother.
Okay.
La Virgen de la Caridad del Cobre, which is Cuba's patron saint.
Okay, so you speak Spanish pretty well there.
I do.
Okay, and you speak English just fine.
It was my first language, Spanish.
Okay,
yeah.
Spanish was your first language?
Yeah, I'm an immigrant.
So you were born in Cuba?
I was born in Cuba.
What city in Cuba?
Santiago de Cuba.
Santiago de Cuba.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're an Easterner.
Yeah, hop and a skip from Jamaica.
Okay, so then you got over here. Did you?
It was a long story, but yeah, we escaped.
got over here.
We got over here. We were exiles.
And then, how old were you when you came to the U.S.?
3.
You were 3.
I was 3 years old.
Okay, and so you're in the U.S. How'd you get to L.A.?
Through acting, you know,
Through
I was acting, and
the biz,
the biz. But I was always painting. I was an actor. I was, you know, you probably saw me on TV on some things, but I was always a painter first. And so if I even had a studio in New York back then, in my studio.
Okay.
But I just never exhibited. I didn't start exhibiting until 2008, pretty late.
Okay. Okay, but you're making up for it. You're making up for it. You're certainly making up for it in scale here. So this came out of the show Tell Art Phone.
It did.
Which I curated.
Yes, it did.
Which you were given someone's artwork, and you made your artwork in response to them.
Yes, I did.
I gave you a drawing this big.
That's
and
right.
You made a 7-8 foot painting.
Yeah, because the drawing that you gave me by Coop looked like a Venus.
Looked like Venus.
Right. He had a drawing. It was cartoonesque, and she was sitting in this S pose like a Venus, and she was so sexy and beautiful. And that's the first thing I thought is Venus. And then remember I had the conversation with you on the phone. I said, wow, would it be okay to turn that Venus into something that I would see as a Venus? Because there's nothing more sexy, more feminine than giving birth, right? And so I imagined who gave a lot of birth? Slaves gave a lot of birth, right? So I imagined the slave on the auction block. And then I thought of Venus on the shell. And so that's when I made the first appropriation, when I first flipped the script. And since then, I've sketched dozens and dozens of these. They take me a long time to paint. I have no assistants, so.
You have no assistants?
I have no assistants, Matt Gleason.
No assistants?
Outside of my children.
Put those kids to work! Oh, God.
They're young.
They're young. Yeah. I don't care. I used to have to go to my. Oh, never mind. Yeah. Okay. So can we see the next painting here? We've got. And this is based on Botticelli.
Yes.
And what is this, and what is it based on?
I call this Blessed Mother and the Dragon, and that is based on the Book of Revelations. I mean, to the T. So it's
the Book of Revelations.
The Book of Revelations. So if anyone asks you, did the Virgin Mother, Blessed Mother, did she scream and yell in labor pains when she was delivering the Christ child? The Book of Revelation said she did.
It does?
It does. It said she was wailing.
Wow.
It said she was wailing as the dragon was trying to steal the baby from her. And so I was actually reading the Book of Revelations as I was painting this. And this is a painting that I didn't do with any sketch. I just started all freehand with the paint and brush in my hand. And so I just painted it really quickly as I was reading the Book of Revelation. So it said the dragon had so many heads, I painted so many heads. It said it had so many horns, I painted so many horns. So many diadems, so many diadems. It said that it threw a third of the stars from his tail down to the earth. So I painted, like 21 stars, and I took 7 of them in the tail and threw them down to the earth.
Oh my God! There's like numerology and everything.
Yeah. So and scripture is pouring through there.
This is like a visionary painting, would you say?
Yeah, it is. And then, of course, she is syncretized with Oshun, because in Cuba, where I was born, the slaves had to disguise their orishas, whom they worship behind the names of Catholic saints in order to avoid persecution. And so they found that certain orishas had similar traits to saints, Catholic saints.
Okay.
So they found that Oshun, who wears a yellow dress in Yoruba folklore, was very similar to the Virgin Mary. But she liked things like peacocks, so you can see the peacock. She liked the number 5, so you see, 5.
Outside, I mean, you have such a deep spirituality, and yet, in the art world, everybody's so obsessed with like formalism.
Yes.
Do you have influences in
the
art lineage?
Yeah.
I see you quoting classical paintings, or but are there painterly influences?
I have mentors, and one of my greatest mentors is a neighbor of mine, Dr. Samela Lewis. And she is a painter. She was born in 1923.
Oh boy.
And she inspires me because she's a consummate painter like me. She's constantly painting. She has a love affair with the materials as I do. I just have an absolute, like a visceral attraction to the materials, to the oil paint, to the brushes, and she does too. And
wow.
And she often, she has children, and she incorporates her children in her artwork as well. But it would be Dr. Samela Lewis.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And then, let's see. Okay. This is not a painting. What is this?
It's a photograph. It's a photograph. I do some photography, and it's a photograph from a work that I called Ain't Funny. And it's an installation that has photography, it has sculpture, it has videography, and it's inspired by Frantz Fanon, the philosopher, the Martinican philosopher. Frantz Fanon has a wonderful book called Black Skin, White Masks, wherein he talks about the subconscious association of blackness with wrongness. So I made this work around the same time when many young black men were being killed, and the subject matter is my son, my eldest son, who at the time was 16. So this is some of the imagery where he is struggling with the stereotypes of being a young black, attractive, strong male. He's also highly intelligent. He goes to Johns Hopkins. So in the video, in the sculpture, in the photography, you see him struggling with those stereotypes of black maleness and with the whiteness, and what does it feel like to try to put on this white mask when you're not, and what does it feel like to hide behind the masks of racism. And
did you feel a need to like not paint this? Is it why were you?
Yeah, because
was it more
my son,
photography was more
because
immediate?
my son, it was, when Trayvon Martin was killed, my husband and I, having 5 boys, we were panicked about the hood, and constantly when our children were going out, we were concerned about their image, as young black men, even though they were young, adolescents and pre-adolescents, and so we were constantly concerned about their image. Don't wear your hood. And so I started to look at my son, who's now, he's burgeoning into a man with these great big muscles, and about the suffering that I have in worrying about him, and the suffering that all mothers have with their black children being in public. And it's not just black mothers, because I have a lot of white female friends who also have black children, whether through birth or through adoption. And this piece also deals with that. It actually uses as a trope the concern that a mother has for her black child in the public as, the vehicle through which this is talked about.
Is it talked about enough? I mean, do we need to talk about it more? I mean, is it a private conversation? Is it a public conversation?
I think it's a public conversation. I do. I think it is.
America's like this ongoing experiment, and we're kind of like, it's like the experiment just seems to be bubbling over at times, you know?
Yeah, but I wish, people like you play a really important role in stopping racism, because you are a white male, and you, by your example of, you don't look at the color line, man. I mean, you're constantly, you just look at the work when it comes to art, and you are embracing, you're embracing of artists from all different ethnic and
This is not the Kiss Up to Matt show.
No, I'm not trying to kiss up. No, but I'm saying that as a white, because you brought it up. As a white male, you have a role.
You honor me. Thank you.
No, because you play an important role.
I just try to be a good guy.
No, for real, because if more white people would speak out like you against racism, then it would influence other white people to do the same.
I speak out against ignorance, and racism is a byproduct of ignorance. I think that's inevitable. So let's see the next thing. What else you've been up to here? Is there more? Are there more?
Yeah.
There is. Okay. Oh, I know that guy. So Stephen Brooks.
Yeah, that's a performance piece. It's called Dawning and Dismissal of the Conqueror's Coiffure.
Wow.
So that I actually did in my 2014 MFA solo thesis show at Otis. We did this at the Vision Theater in Leimert Park. And that is also highly codified with Afro-Cuban religious iconography. So I have 3 hair salons that alter as, 3 hair salons that also work as altars, as
a hair salon and an altar.
An altar at the same time.
Combined at the same time.
So they each venerate a certain Orisha.
No, they venerate. Okay, you had the saint.
Yes.
And they made that the Orisha. And now you got the hair salon.
Right.
And a performance.
And so what happens is, while Ave Maria, which is a classical European song, is playing, we have had our hair straightened, and so we invite the audience to come up and comb our straightened hair. And as Ave Maria dissipates, then the Afro-Cuban live drummers and dancers come, drown out Ave Maria, and then we do this ritualistic soaking of the heat-straightened hair into water, because all it takes is a little water to make it
water and
back
right back. Yeah, okay.
And then we all emerge with this natural afro.
Okay.
And there are posters that I make. I don't know if you have the posters, but I made those. You see those little oil. Yeah. Can you show the posters that
I don't know if they're in there or not,
yeah,
man. I don't
Okay.
know. We pulled some photos.
But that also is inspired by Frantz Fanon's.
So you're doing a performance thing, but you consider yourself primarily a painter, correct?
Yeah, that's what I do the most of. I paint. I do installation, photography, performance, sculpture, but if you ask me what I do the most, it's definitely painting.
You ego identify as a painter?
As painter, yeah.
Okay, so you are an artist, of
right.
course, but you ego identify as a painter.
Absolutely, and that's one thing I can't live without is painting.
Great.
I can't live without painting.
Well, it's been wonderful having you on the show.
Thank you, Matt
Thank you
Gleason.
so much for being
you.
here. I'm one of your biggest fans.
Oh, thank you. I'm one of your fans, too.
Sorry about those kids bugging you all the time, but
All right.
But we have to see your sketch. So what do we have here? This from the sketcher's seat from Aliza is Lili Bernard.
Thank you, Aliza.
Thank you very much.
Aliza.
Great drawing.
Thank you, Matt.
And then we'll all go out to dinner afterwards.
All right,
but
thank you.
You're not invited, Internet.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Not invited, Internet. Okay, so wow, that was fun. Did you have fun drawing Lili?
Yeah.
Could you have, like, if she's on here for 2 hours, would it have been? I mean, did you get it all?
I feel like it'd be fun to draw her like all day, I think.
It would be fun to draw her all day. Mm-hmm. Well, if your painting career is a little bumpy, Lili, maybe you have a future as a model, at least for Aliza. Our next guest here on Modern Art Blitz needs no introduction, and yet my job is to introduce him. He's a legend, a street art pioneer, a fine art purveyor, and an all-around kind of cranky, nice guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Robbie Conal. Somewhere out there. Robbie? Hey! How you doing, man?
All right, man.
Welcome to the show.
I just want to say racism is bad. White male. Racism is bad.
Get it out of the way first.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're looking at your latest work is floating on the screen behind us.
Oh.
Who is this guy?
Bad guy, bad racist.
Bad man. Now, hopefully, is it not the hope of activist art to become dated? Wouldn't it be in maybe a few years?
Yes.
No one will even recognize this?
Wouldn't that be lovely?
You'll have to explain this in detail to people, whereas now we're just
the hope of activist art in this case, I mean, there is like a smattering of positive activist art.
Yes.
I don't really go in for that, people say, who knew that people like, positive art?
Who knew?
Yeah, but as far as the negative stuff goes, like satire, which is like my thing, is a negative form. My dream is to put these things up and make these guys disappear.
And make them disappear.
Yeah. If I do it well enough.
You want to accelerate their 15 minutes of fame.
That's one, or decelerate it to the turlet.
So now you've been doing street art before almost. Was there any street artists before you?
Well, the cavemen, when they were out on the street, they would do some shit.
Why the street and not the gallery?
Because of the distribution, because of the people I want to reach, like over there.
Okay, so let's look.
It's like the people like walking around.
This is
not that anybody walks in LA.
Contra Cocaine. What year is this from?
1988.
1988. And what did the Contras have to do with cocaine?
Yeah, what did they have to do with cocaine?
I didn't really. I turned on CNN and there was never any coverage of this.
That's why you need me.
That's why we needed.
Aside from the fact that you weren't born yet.
Whoa, old man to old man.
No, she wasn't born yet.
Maybe intern Aliza was not born yet, but when you were doing this in the 80s, though, I mean, we're talking. There's all the big street artists now, kind of still in their diapers. I mean, and meanwhile you're.
I was putting diapers on them actually. That's why they. Call me the OG, the old guy.
So were you doing this all by yourself at the beginning?
There is no all by yourself, I mean, we could, go to your room and play with your crayons. I'm an only child, used to do that when I would get mad, like, Mom, I don't want to do that, slam, I'm going to go play with my crayons. But, to make a poster even, aside from the actual painting part, it takes somebody with a press, it takes somebody who knows what they're doing in prep for the press, it takes people to go out. You got to get glue, you got to get brushes, you got this, that.
How many people go out with you these days?
Got 150 on Friday.
How many people went out with you for Contra Cocaine?
That was a national campaign.
Oh, well, okay. I was thinking that your initial times of doing this.
I know what you're asking, and the answer is it was kind of Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn kind of thing, where I talked to my best friend into it. You're going to love going out in the street in the middle of the night in one of the most dangerous urban areas in the universe and spattering yourself with glue, and you're going to be good at it. And aside from the fact that it's a little bit illegal, like being a little bit pregnant.
It's a little bit
A
illegal.
little bit illegal.
Like a little bit pregnant.
Just adds to the charm, you
What?
know.
No, you've been arrested doing this?
Yes.
And did they throw the book at you?
Other things.
What did they throw?
Other things. They threw other things.
So
Here's the thing. Like, okay, so I have rules, Robbie's rules of guerrilla etiquette.
Robbie's rules of guerrilla
That's right.
etiquette. I'm paying close attention.
That's right. So if you're going to go out and do this, it's really smart to be polite.
To be polite.
Yes, on the streets in the middle of the night. And, you know, the people we meet on the streets are our people. That's our audience. That you want to, like, treat them with respect, and hopefully it's mutual. And if it isn't, you don't want to get into arguments in the middle of the street at night about politics, although you can
He
explain.
who runs away lives to fight another day.
No running.
No
No running.
running.
No running.
He who
It didn't work
walks
for
away.
Rodney King. It's not working for me. You know, like, no running.
Okay, so who are we looking at here?
I think that's Martin Luther King Jr.
Okay, so now he's one of the good guys. Help me out here. That was a
You're
loaded question.
absolutely right, Matt.
Okay.
How did you know that?
That was a statement, I guess.
Yeah. And this is like, you know, trying to turn over a new leaf, Mr. Positivity. You know, but actually I did, after 9/11, which was a terrible thing and a terrible tragedy, but as far as I was concerned, my little personal self, our government's reaction to 9/11 was horrific, the overreaction to it. And I started thinking about, you know, how to make social and political change. Is there any other way to make that social and political change in the world besides, you know, bombing people, you know, halfway around the world who had nothing to do with you, and bombing them a second time? Like, so we already
And I assume,
turned
I
it
assume
into
bombing him a
rubble. Now
third-
it's turning into pebbles. So,
I assume bombing a third time is off the table.
well, that's where your nuclear war comes in that you were mentioning before. Yes. In fact, it's all off the table as far as I'm concerned. You know. So, but that's what I was thinking. Like, what is Martin Luther King still dreaming? You know, would he still be dreaming if he saw what we were doing? Yeah. And I did Gandhi. You know, if Gandhi were watching us on the streets, like, what would he be seeing? You know, like, these crazy people. If the Dalai Lama, you know, were waiting around for us to get hip, you know, like, so it was watching, waiting, dreaming.
So you certainly find iconic people to use. These
Well-
icons are easy to read, so to speak.
Well, I would
Yes.
do a portrait of you, but, you know, only the people who hate you would know who it was.
all 7 of them.
Maybe that's enough. I don't know.
So here's another. Now this is, instead of contra cocaine, this is
Diction.
contradiction.
This is actually the painting and the poster before Contra Cocaine.
Okay.
So this led up to Contra Cocaine, because this is Ronald Reagan contradicting himself about the Iran-Contra.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we've got a lot of wordplay here.
That's right. I love the English language, especially how easy it is to get it to subvert itself.
And you've become quite the poet at that over the years in these.
Yes, if you
one and
take
two
two
word
words,
slogans.
as poetry, yeah, I'm
but-
dynamite.
No, but hey, it's
It's a minimalist thing. You know, haiku is just so chatty. You know, like, as far as I'm concerned.
So you now, this is back to the 80s here too, right?
This is 88, also 88.
Now, do you have like leftover posters from the 80s?
I have enough posters to line my crypt. Some more than others. I have some Contra Cocaines. I don't have any Contra Cocaines. Contra Cocaine at the time, and still in many ways, aside from, you know, the positive stuff, the most popular poster I ever did.
Really?
Why is that, Robbie? Because, like, if you go to, we put it up on the Venice, around Venice, and on the Venice boardwalk, the skateboarders, it had everything that they loved. You know,
It had a skull,
skulls, camouflage, and cocaine.
Cocaine, okay.
So what they would do is, like, cut off the Contra, and you just got cocaine, skulls,
Okay,
and
okay.
camouflage. Go Robbie, you know, like,
Yeah.
my man. Just, you know, you're speaking to us, like the people.
So that edition is sold out?
Yeah, it is.
You have none of those left?
Right. The original painting is actually at LACMA.
LACMA bought the painting?
LACMA bought the painting.
They bought it from you?
They
or
didn't buy it.
Somebody donated it? Did you donate it?
No, I did not.
You sold it and the buyer donated
The buyer
it?
donated
Wow.
it. Doesn't happen often. In
What
fact,
other
it
museum
happened,
collections are you in?
Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York.
Wow,
You've
what
heard
do
of-
they own?
They
I've
own-
heard of them, yeah.
Yeah. They're over there.
Yeah. What did they buy?
They have about 10 of my posters, and I did, for a few years, I did like a mini poster once a month at the back of the LA Weekly.
Oh, I remember those, yeah.
Yeah, and it was nice because not only could I get to more subjects, but I could write a little paragraph instead of contradiction.
Yeah.
You know, I could like
Oh, yeah.
talk a little smack. So, and they have a few of those, the original sheets from those. That's the print and drawing collection.
The print and
they have,
drawing
but
at
of course
the
they
Met.
have over 1 million prints and drawings in that collection. So
It's something. It's something.
yeah, hey, I'm delighted. You know, like I've got to tell you, like I grew up in New York City, if you couldn't tell, and my parents thought the major museums in Manhattan were daycare centers for me. So, lucky me, you know, like they were busy. I was an only child. They were union organizers. They were busy saving the world from capitalist greed. How's
Okay.
that going?
So you bought into the family business?
It took me a long time.
Really?
Yeah,
What
for the
Someone's
they're
calling
after
me.
me now. Like they're singing songs to me, but not of love. That was nice. Thanks.
Someone was phoning me.
Yeah, they're saying, "Hey,
I'm very sorry about that.
here's a song for Robbie."
So yeah, I have Bob Dylan as my ringtone just for you. So we're looking at double speak here.
Yeah, Double Speak is 2 big paintings. One of Joseph McCarthy and Roy Cohn at the Army McCarthy hearings in 1954,
Yeah.
covering up the microphone and whispering in front of the American people. And the next Double Speak painting, exactly the same size, is Oliver North and Brendan Sullivan, his lawyer,
doing the same
exactly
thing
the same.
30 years later.
1987.
So the 80s were like kind of like that's when you really hit the scene. Was that
the
your first recognition?
Yeah, not just recognition. The first poster I did was in September '86. Men with No Lips.
Men with No Lips. And now Roy Cohn ended up being he was Joe McCarthy's lawyer.
Yes, he was.
And then did he work with Hoover at all?
Well, in a way, he worked with Hoover. They had the same predilections, and they were.
And he was a casualty of the AIDS crisis.
I wouldn't call him a casualty. You know,
A side benefit? Oh dear.
Yeah. He was a pretty bad boy. So
Really?
yeah. Oh, totally. I mean.
Now, is
but
there?
Unfortunately,
Are there any people in positions of power that you genuflect to, that you respect?
I don't genuflect.
You don't
My
genuflect?
wife. My wife.
To you?
If you want positions of power, my wife and the cats.
But so is the institution always up for critique, or are there times that you just back off?
Yeah, I thought when if you take like waking up every day and George W. Bush is your president, and then waking up every day and Obama is your president, I'd go for the latter.
So why rock the boat when it's so good?
Well, there's always things you could do. I'm not an editorial cartoonist. Like editorial cartoonists are awesome, man. Like they do like 4 a week or 5 a week. I do 5 a year.
Okay.
And I'm like, ooh, and then getting the machine and the peeps together. But I mean, I did Clinton. Clinton fucked up. I did Donation, D-O-U-G-H, Donation, and I did Hillary when she was kind of carpetbagging into New York and saying, oh, I'm a New Yorker. I'm going to run for office in New York. Oh yeah.
Okay, so you're not by no means are you just a bland partisan.
I don't think anybody would call me bland.
You're going
they
after.
would call me a partisan.
You're going after. Well, you are a partisan relative to the left, but you're going to go after elements that are fucking up.
Yeah, I mean, I set myself. If I set myself any, what do you care about? Making art is, being an artist is not like the greatest choice of profession. If you want to be a billionaire, you might choose something else.
Okay.
But the one thing that
Advice to all you artists out there.
It's not-
Advice to everybody.
it's not that it doesn't happen, but I wouldn't be like betting on it in Las Vegas or anything. So, but there are things that art can do that are spectacular. You can make good art about any subject. Of course, you can make bad art about any subject too. I'm example A of that. But it is spectacular. Art can address any subject, and you can really, like my art mom and dad are Leon Golub and Nancy Sparrow.
Oh.
They helped me more. I went to art school all my life, and along with all the museums that my parents sent me to. But they were never my teachers, but they really helped me more than anybody with my art specifically. And one of the things Leon told me was, oh, you're upset at somebody? What's the subject that you care about most? Okay, so this guy, in a position of power is upsetting you. Point your finger right at him. Don't get all like mythological, no, present company accepted. Don't get all mythological about it or anything. Leave that to Lili, She's covering it great.
She's covering the mythology.
Like, what the heck is that stuff? Like, that's too much work. I'll do like a head and a word, and I'm going, oh, God. And she's like, everybody's in here. Bring the kids in, like put a thing on your head. Like,
How long would it take you to make a painting like this?
That's the wrong question.
That's right. What?
That's the wrong question.
Do you whip it out? Tell the truth.
I don't
Do you
whip anything out
Nope.
these days.
Let's see the next
My days
thing.
of whipping it out are over.
Your day, when in doubt, whip it out. Let's see the next work we have here. Now this is a painting.
That's a painting.
And on a photograph though.
That's right.
And how large is this painting?
It's 6 feet by 4.5 feet.
Wow. And that is Nixon and Kissinger?
In the Oval Office, just before they got down on the Oval Office floor and on their knees and prayed.
What did they pray for?
That's a very good question.
Were their prayers,
Not absolution.
Were their prayers answered?
Well, I don't know.
So
But they're on tape.
So now you didn't
That
make
was
this.
funny.
Not on. You didn't make this in the 70s though, right? Is this your painting of the 70s?
Well, it's a photograph from the 70s.
Okay, but you didn't make this artwork was painted long after that.
That's right.
Okay, so this is just for
It's
the
a history
historical record.
It's a history painting.
It's a history
Like,
painting.
That's what we call. I would say Lili's paintings are history paintings too.
You've done a lot of history painting.
Yeah, in fact, I do history painting.
You do history.
And just
sometimes
like
in
when
the
you
moment.
said at the beginning, anything like the Trump comes from an original painting. They are history paintings. Like maybe, like we were hoping at the beginning of this little chat, people will not know who Trump was. If we're lucky, and I've done my job, and everybody's done their job. But you don't have to. Like, I'll tell you, I was at the Prado. And I love Velázquez, like as an artist, I mean. And there are lots of great Velázquez's in the Prado. And I saw one, it's like the best portrait I've ever seen, and it's like full scale, like, 3 times life size. It's this nasty looking guy, and he's like this. And it's like one of the greatest paintings I ever saw. I had no idea who the guy was, but it was it didn't matter because I knew what class he represented, who he was beholden to, everything. Turns out he's the king's treasurer.
Wow.
He's the money. I knew that. I knew that. I didn't know that. I knew that. And that's like, aside from Nelson Mandela, who we hope people will emulate and know forever.
Yes.
And that's a big painting too. That was at the Venice Biennale, actually. We're trying to get it to Cuba, actually.
Oh, wow.
Do you know that Cuba has, in Havana, they have an African arts museum. And they asked me for that painting and to do a show, and I would love to do that. Like, we were in Cuba just before Obama broke the news, and you could feel the buzz in Havana.
Coming.
Yeah, they knew it was coming. They knew it was coming. And aside from the fact that I had my Dodger cap on, and I couldn't get a block without talking about baseball.
Wow, really?
Yeah, in fact.
Oh, that's a baseball crazy country.
Yeah. Like, and my wife would say, like, we have to go see some art. It's over there. Would you take your hat off so we can get there?
People just wanted to run up and talk to you.
But also, it's a huge artists are revered there. Like,
Revered.
Yeah. There are, not me personally, but there are artists, and art's big there. So, and the head of the Cuban African Museum knew about these paintings, that painting, and we had a meeting, and we try to set up a show. It's a little complicated, but I'd send, like anything to Cuba. Like, I'd send you to Cuba,
I might take you up on that. If you
Go
can-
in baseball season.
I would love to. I would love to.
Yeah.
True wit
Oh, Mark Twain.
instead of true grit.
He had that too,
Well, he had some
but
grit.
a riff off of True Grit. Yeah,
What inspired a painting of Mark Twain?
he's an inspirational dude. Like, this is actually I have a collector whose life was changed reading great American authors,
Okay.
and he asked me to do a triptych like Watching, Waiting, Dreaming.
Yeah.
Of great American authors.
So who'd you do?
So I did that guy, Hemingway, and F. Scott Fitzgerald.
And what did it say? True wit?
I don't remember what the
You
hell
don't
they
remember
said.
true this?
No,
true
Tough Love.
That? True wit.
Tough Love was Hemingway.
Okay.
And
You didn't street poster these.
no,
though.
no, these are just
These are
paintings,
just
big
straight
old
paintings.
that
So what's the difference between showing on the street and showing in a museum?
it's completely different.
It's completely different.
Yeah,
And
even
you've
if-
done both.
Yeah, you do both, and you're the same person, you're the same artist. Even the art could be very similar. You're doing what you do. They're completely different. Just by virtue of context, it's completely different. And sometimes that's hard to explain to people, but there's no question about it. Like, you cannot confuse the two.
So it's like you're Robbie Conal on the street and
Robert Conal.
Robert Conal
No,
in the hallowed
Yeah.
halls
Okay.
of the
So I'll
institutions?
tell you something that like one of my little personal ironies, like my double-edged sword, if it's a sword at all, or sordid. My sordid story. Like, a lot of people know my work because you see it on the street. You can't avoid it. And in the art establishment, they love my work on the street where it belongs, right? And the city loves my work in art galleries where it belongs,
Where it belongs,
right?
yes.
In museums where it belongs. And so, like, I'm like,
We like you as a threat.
oh, that's so sweet of you.
We like you as a threat. Robbie.
Yeah, baby, I
So,
am.
Remember,
I'm here.
To wind up the conversation, I have to ask you to take off your rose-colored glasses, not your metaphorical rose-colored glasses, and realistically, do the Dodgers have a shot
No.
this season?
No,
No.
absolutely not.
Are they building towards the future? Are they going to have a shot in 2017?
The Dodgers are building sideways towards the future.
So as a Dodger fan, can you predict the next time they'll be in the October Classic?
When they get brains.
When they get brand, I thought they have Friedman,
They have money. They have money.
They have money, but they hired all these like stat guys to run things. Are they
Okay,
not,
when they get soul.
when they get soul? What's it going to take to get soul in that organization?
That's a good question. Hire me, I'm available.
What's the best seat you've ever had at Dodger Stadium?
Oh, I've had good seats.
You've had
but
good seats?
it's like people who have good seats who let me sit there.
Okay, there. Yeah, you
Yeah,
always
yeah,
know you were in their seats, right?
Yeah,
they weren't
yeah,
your seats.
Yeah.
Do you
always.
like the right field pavilion?
I like all the pavilions, but I wouldn't sit. I like sitting like behind home plate,
Behind home plate, up or down?
down.
Well, that's somebody else's seat, right?
They're all somebody else's.
They're all
seat,
somebody
yeah.
else's
But
seat.
I like the one thing I like about the Dodgers is that if you go to a Dodger game, everybody's there.
Everybody's there.
Everybody's there. It's fantastic. And that's the one thing I love about LA. Everybody is here.
Everybody.
You might have to drive 30 miles to visit them, but
30 miles could be 3 days.
Yeah, it could be, but it's a road trip. It's the great. Like, did you see City of Gold, the documentary on Jonathan Gold?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we love LA the same.
Exactly.
Except he eats better.
Well, he eats a lot better than all of us.
Yeah.
So, well, hey, Robbie Conal, thanks for being on Modern
My
Art
pleasure.
Blitz. Let's see the sketch from the sketcher's seat of Robbie Conal, the real OG.
What a happy
Can we get a
guy.
close here? There we go.
Mr.
All right.
Charm.
We do this
Thank you.
every Sunday at 5, streaming live on dronebox.com and archived on youtube.com. Thanks to my guests, Lili Bernard and Robbie Conal, intern Aliza in the sketch.
West Side, baby.
Downtown, baby.
All around town.
So, and we film this on the east side, if you must.
Yeah,
we
man.
do this every Sunday. Thanks for watching. And our co-host, Lisa and Derek, will be back next week with a brand new episode of Modern Art Blitz.
To your final resting place.